The Girl on Bikini, Part 3. A story by Eby's Heart. Bob was sitting on the ground crying, while his wife was inconsolable. Where do we start from? How can someone just want to ruin us? His wife was lamenting and crying. Dan took Bob outside so that they can discuss. Are you sure it was Isabel? Dan asked in a lowered tone. I am very sure, as it is now, I don't think she is even human. Bob answered with a teary voice. 2 nights later, police have taken up the case as kidnap. Bob and his wife have visited their pastor countless times. They were so confused. Bob was sleeping in their couch. This is the first sleep he was getting since the incident. He felt a hand choking him. He tried to scream, but the hand covered his mouth. Then he managed to look up to the face trying to strangle him. It was Isabel. All his efforts to push her away failed. Then Isabel left and whispered in his ear, "Turn yourself in to the police. Take them to the place you buried me, or else, I am just beginning." Bob woke up soaked in his sweat. He soon waved it aside as a dream. When it was morning, his wife looked at him and shouted angrily, "So you still have the guts to be with another woman at a time like this?" Bob was confused. He told her that he didn't do anything wrong, that he had been sleeping on the couch. Then how do you explain the lipstick all over your shirt? His wife asked with a straight face. That was when Bob knew that the incident with Isabel was not a dream. Bob drove straight to Dan and told him what he had witnessed. "Guy, something is definitely wrong somewhere. It's either Isabel is dead or she is alive and messing with my mind. Could you believe she nearly strangled me yesterday night? She insisted I should confess, or else she will finish me." Dan, upon hearing confess, knowing it will implicate him, shouted, "No. Confess what? Do you want to spend the rest of your life in prison? Because I'm not ready for such. I cannot disappoint my wife and children," Dan said while pacing about. "What do we do?" Bob asked, looking confused. "We do nothing. She cannot prove anything. Just be strong as a man and don't let your wife suspect anything," Dan said, reassuring his friend. Bob got home to see that his wife had packed her bags. She is moving out with their children. "Babe, what is going on?" Bob asked immediately he stepped into their sitting room. "Pastor said you did something awful, that I should take these children far from you," his wife said with tears trickling down her face. Some months later, nothing had been heard of Bob's son. He had become very miserable and sad. And his wife have refused to answer his calls. She insisted she will only talk to Bob when he confesses. Then one day, Bob called Dan to inform him that he was going to the police station to turn himself in and tell them everything that happened. Dan begged him not do it, that doing that will ruin his life. "You caused all this problem for us. How can you beat up a woman you just met?" Dan blamed Bob. Dan asked Bob to wait for him, so that they can go together. When Dan got to Bob's house, he hit Bob on the head when he was not looking, then hanged him to death to make it look like suicide.